Tonight, 48 hours inside one of Gaza's last functioning hospitals. As Israel continues to bombard Khan Yunis, a Sky News team films inside a partially destroyed medical center where doctors are struggling to treat the most vulnerable. We'll show you the haunting calm of the operating theatre and the chaos in the ER as patients are rushed in.
Gaza has become a slaughterhouse. Do something. Stop talking and do something.
Well, today, the UK government did move to do something, imposing sanctions on Israeli settlers and suspending trade talks with Israel. But does that go far enough? Also coming up on the programme. A city in ruins and held hostage by gangs, we travel back to Haiti and go deep inside gang territory. We go on nighttime patrol with the peacekeeping troops deployed to retake the capital and stop the killing.
There's over 10,500 people in here. They've only been here a month. None of them think they'll go home ever. They've been kicked out of their houses by the gangs.
Plus, Donald Trump's multi-billion-dollar plan to build a golden dome and put weapons in space. So how will it work? Can it protect the whole of the United States? And is it even possible? It's all coming up on The World with me, Yalda Hakim. Good evening. Last night, we brought you the news that 5 trucks carrying basic aid had finally been allowed to enter Gaza after an 11-week blockade. More than 100 lorries were set to cross into the besieged territory today. But the United Nations has confirmed that so far nothing has been distributed to those who need it. That lack of humanitarian assistance is making it even harder for the doctors treating thousands of patients each day as the Israeli bombardment continues. The Sky News team spent 2 days with a team of British medics at Nasser Hospital in Gaza's second largest city. Coming up, they'll tell you what they are seeing and hearing in their own words. Our Middle East correspondent, Alistair Bunkle, has tonight's first report.
Khan Yunis has been the focus of some of the fiercest attacks in recent days. Israeli airstrikes and ground operations have closed in on the city, forcing thousands to flee and leaving many dead and wounded. The Nasser hospital is the largest in the city. It is also one of the only hospitals still functioning. A team of British doctors and surgeons is now working there. They are specialists in plastic surgery and orthopedics. Our team in Gaza spent a few days filming with them this week. They're also sending out regular video updates.
I'm standing on the balcony of the EMT accommodation, and a really large bomb has just gone off not far to the east of us. And the ambulances here have just readied themselves to go off and pick up who knows how many casualties. So I think we've got a lot of work heading our way. So this is the burns unit at Nasser. They're just walking through. It used to be the burns unit at Nasser.
Part of the Nasser hospital has been hit and damaged by Israeli missiles. This was the burns unit, one of the busiest parts of the hospital. It is out of action now.
But that's the damage. Yeah, I'm not going to go too far into this, but wow. That's amazing. Hello.
This baby has painful burns on her chest and back. Another lies silent on the stretcher, not moving and only able to see out of one eye. She has shrapnel wounds to her face and body. Children are suffering the worst.
So she's had a burn?
Yes.
The lack of food and water has made them weak and more vulnerable to their injuries. The operating theatres can sometimes feel like a bubble of quiet and calm from the war outside, but the patients are almost all suffering blast wounds. But in the hospital's emergency unit, it's chaos. Many of the survivors will need to be transferred upstairs into the care of the British doctors for reconstructive surgery.
So this is a young man that came in yesterday into the emergency department with his brother after an explosive blast.
Dr. Tom Potoko was working in the European hospital near Khan Yunis before they were evacuated in a hurry last week. Airstrikes were hitting the compound. He is now in the Amal hospital close to Nasser, working again and prepping for surgery.
So here, and then all this, just take scissors and just...
The woman on the operating table is badly injured.
And then all this,
Her husband and children were all killed. She doesn't know yet.
what can you say? I mean, it's horrific. Gaza has become a slaughterhouse. That's what it is. It's a slaughterhouse. Do something. Stop talking and do something.
Tom Potoko was last in Gaza shortly after October the 7th. Returning after 19 months of war, he's seen a dramatic change in Gaza.
The difference this time is because of the blockade, there's so little stuff getting in. There's no food getting in, so people are starving. There's very little medical supplies coming in. But also the other very noticeable thing is the massive extent of destruction. I mean, Khan Yunis looks like Stalingrad. So this is our living quarters.
This is where they sleep and relax during the few hours that they have off shift. Camp beds together in one room. Food is a single ready meal a day of just 400 calories.
All that's left.
They sometimes have to reuse tea bags. A cup of good coffee is a small luxury.
I never use coffee like this.
The blockade affects everyone.
Yes.
Evening bombing.
By Monday evening, the IDF declared combat zone was only a few streets from Nasser Hospital.
There he is.
A drone flew low overhead.
A sad evening in Gaza.
An evacuation order for most of Khan Yunis went out today, which meant that we lost several members of the team. My anaesthetic nurse and Graham's orthopaedic colleague had to leave us mid-case to go and evacuate their families to an area of safety.
I think it's quite hard to believe. These are people just like you and me. They have their homes, their families, they live normal lives. Many are very impressive people. And without notice, they have to pick up a grab bag and leave. And they sleep on the streets. Look for food, look for water, live in shelter, but turn up for work each day.
With the Israeli military operation getting closer, the doctors are also ready to evacuate at short notice.
The team have put my instruments in one position for me so that if we do get evacuated, I can grab them. So they've overwrapped a tray of single-item plastics. You can see that they've put a bag out there for me with my name on it. But this is the kit that they think I should be taking with me if we do get evacuated.
Nasser Hospital has the last remaining ICU department in the whole of southern Gaza. If it has to be evacuated, then the remaining temporary field hospitals would likely be overwhelmed and unable to cope. Alistair Bunkle, Sky News, in Jerusalem.
Well, let's bring in Fadi Omar, Programme Officer at SKT Welfare, a charity that provides humanitarian aid on the ground in Khan Yunis. Thank you so much for joining us, Fadi, here on the programme. We've just seen in our report some of the devastation in Gaza, in Khan Yunis, but you're in Khan Yunis. Just give us a sense of, from your words, what's going on right now.
Hello. The situation in Gaza is extremely difficult and catastrophic. If we can imagine this, Gaza is currently facing a severe humanitarian crisis. People here has been under blockade for many years, even before the ongoing war, which has led to significant shortages of essential supplies. Access to food, water, and other essential supplies is extremely limited. As we know now, starvation has affected all aspects of life on Gaza Strip. Both the young and old and have been impacted. The average number of meals per family has dropped to less than one per day, and food supplies and markets have become very scarce. The crossing have not been opened yet for nearly 3 months. No anything has entered, and what Israel announced would enter in the Gaza Strip is not enough to cover 4% of the Gaza Strip daily needs. Famine is breeding through the entire Gaza Strip. Children literally have nothing to eat. Bread, which was the last remaining food that Gazians used to rely on, has become a source of great fear for families due to its high price. The price per kilo now
I just want to ask
in the
about
market equals.
Fadi, I just want to ask about, supplies in the markets in terms of, because we haven't seen any aid enter, any food enter Gaza for 3 months, for the last 11 weeks. In terms of what's available in the markets and what the bakeries look like, just give us a picture of that.
As I mentioned, there is no bakers. All the bakers on the Gaza Strip stopped working. It now more than 2 months and a half. There is no any bakers, automatic bakers working on the Gaza Strip. Gaza going through the worst stage of the war, the worst stages of famine. People can barely find anything to eat. If you go to the markets, you won't find anything to eat. People are finding it's extremely difficult to provide food for their children, and the family head suffers daily in searching for food. For my children, especially, as I mentioned before, bread. People have resorted to other methods for making bread by grinding rice available in the markets and grinding pasta in an attempt to overcome their reliance on a floor. Even these alternatives are starting to
Fadi, the bombardment has intensified over the course of the last few days. Just tell us what that's been like. Have you been able to leave your home? What about those who are part of your charity group? Have they been able to support the residents of Gaza during this intensification of bombardment?
You mentioned another time. I lose the connection.
Yeah, I just said the bombardment has intensified. How has that been in terms of your staff, your teams on the ground trying to help people?
Okay, we are on SKT. We working hard to helping people at these times. We have some innovations to help the people at Gaza Strip at this time. But the situation worsenly daily due to the ongoing war. Entire families are, as we see in our work, the problem is bigger than any institution or foundation or any organization working on the ground. Over 2 million people have been displaced, equivalent to 90% of the population. We're trying to available for some of them clean water and some of clothes and tents, but this is not enough for what we are going to do. Yes, Gaza Strip, since as we were working 2040, our mission is provided immediate relief, including food and water, medicine, aids, and shelters to displaced families affected by the ongoing wars.
Fadi, we're really grateful that you've joined us on the programme from Khan Yunis. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Okay, thank you.
Well, we are going to come back to the situation in Gaza in a moment, but we're going to take a pause and take you to Washington, where Donald Trump has been speaking about a new Golden Dome system to protect the United States. It includes missile interceptors based in space. He says it will be operational by the end of his term. Just have a listen to what he's been saying in the last few minutes.
In the campaign, I promised the American people that I would build a cutting-edge missile defense shield to protect our homeland from the threat of foreign missile attack. And that's what we're doing. Today, I'm pleased to announce that we have officially selected an architecture for this state-of-the-art system that will deploy next-generation technologies across the land, sea, and space, including space-based sensors and interceptors. And Canada has called us, and they want to be a part of it. So we'll be talking to them. They want to have protection also. So as usual, we help Canada do the best we can. This design for the Golden Dome will integrate with our existing defense capabilities and should be fully operational before the end of my term. So we'll have it done in about 3 years. Once fully constructed, the Golden Dome will be capable of intercepting missiles even if they are launched from other sides of the world and even if they are launched from space. And we will have the best system ever built.
That was President Trump announcing there the path forward to ambitions for a Golden Dome missile defence shield system. And we will be speaking a little bit later on the programme to someone about that. Now let's go back to the situation in Gaza. And as Israel's bombardment has intensified, the international condemnation has grown. Today, the UK summoned the Israeli ambassador and suspended trade talks with Tel Aviv. Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer described Benjamin Netanyahu's actions as utterly intolerable. Just have a listen to how world leaders have been reacting.
Current situation in which we're seeing, the bombardment, including of children, and the prospect of starvation is just intolerable.
Elle est insoutenable parce que
it is unbearable because the blind violence, the blockade of humanitarian aid by the Israeli government have turned Gaza into a place of death, not to say a cemetery.
The continuation of this campaign and this way and this behavior, and it's not only in Gaza, but Gaza, West Bank, Lebanon, Syria, is something becoming unbearable.
Prime Minister Netanyahu, end this blockade now and let the aid in. Regrettably, Madam Deputy Speaker, despite our efforts, this Israeli government's egregious actions and rhetoric have continued.
The Foreign Secretary there, and we're hearing from world leaders. Well, let's speak now to Halima Begum, Chief Executive for Oxfam UK, who joins me here in the studio. Thank you so much, Halima, for joining us here on the programme. We're just hearing there from the Foreign Secretary, the Prime Minister, from the Qatari Prime Minister, a whole host of other leaders. Do you think they're saying enough?
I think we have to welcome the fact that today we've heard from the British government very strong words, firm words about what is tolerable, what isn't tolerable. And we've seen David Lammy talk about where it's necessary for the UK to establish a moral boundary. So it's to be welcomed, but a little too late because at least 53,000 people have died. So if this could have come sooner or earlier, we perhaps could have exercised more influence on the Israeli government.
What we saw soon after October 7 was, Israel prosecuting this war, the United States supplying weapons and then resupplying weapons. But what Israel had from the likes of the UK and France was solidarity and goodwill. They said they would stand by Israel. Do you believe that goodwill is now gone?
I believe that as the public in France, as the public in Britain are continuously showing and demonstrating that there is no toleration for this level of indiscriminate violence, bombardment, and let's not forget the total blockade of aid in the last 3 months. I think the public cannot bear it. Where there has been a disconnect with some parts of government, the public is questioning why the government isn't doing more. So I think now that there's something of a groundswell at the moment where I think the public in every part of the world that I can see are questioning whether their governments are stepping up and have stepped up in a timely way. From our side, we'd like to speak to our government and ask them to immediately suspend all arms to Israel, because that would be a tangible action that would make a difference to civilians being bombarded or killed in the future.
Do you think that they are listening to that kind of call? Because they have in the past said they've attempted to, but has it been done in a more meaningful way?
So this week we've had David Lammy talk about the disproportionate violence that's taking place in Gaza. But on the one hand, you cannot talk about the disproportionate violence and still be selling arms to the government that is then using those arms to kill children. It's incoherent, it's immoral. So I think what the government needs to do is follow up these words with strong action and stop selling all arms to Israel.
I just want to play a clip of a statement yesterday that Israel's finance minister made. Let's just have a listen.
The population will reach the south of the Strip and from there, with God's help, move to third countries under President Trump's plan. This is a change in the course of history, nothing less.
The finance minister has said we are conquering, we're cleansing, and we are remaining in Gaza until Hamas is destroyed. He also said that destroying everything that's left, that Israel's goal is to destroy everything that's left on the Gaza Strip. Do you think the pressure that is being placed right now by the UK government, by the French, by the Canadians, is doing enough to prevent these sorts of statements?
I think they've finally stepped up. It's a little bit too late, but I welcome that pressure because we need that pressure. We need that pressure from Qatar, from Egypt, from the US president. But even Donald Trump is becoming frustrated now. He is saying there's now got to be some form of a truce. So I think that pressure will help, but we need actions because even to talk about suspending trade, I mean, that's some point in the future. We don't have a trade deal on the table. What we do know is that arms are still being sold to Israel and F-35 fighter jets are killing children. So we need to stop the bombing. We need to make sure that the aid does get through. Babies are facing starvation imminently at the moment. If we cannot get aid through, more and more babies will die. So it is important to make sure there's a ceasefire, make sure that aid trucks are getting through. I know that some aid trucks did get through, but the aid is not being distributed. And we have to make sure that the bombing stops. Because even if the bombing did stop, if the aid isn't getting through, we will actually look at starving the entire population of Gaza. Nobody can stand by. It's being live streamed now. So I think the British public would like to see the government step up and trust the government more. So there is a credibility problem here. There's a moral problem here. More can be done. And I believe the government can step up and will step up.
You just mentioned there the trade talks being suspended. I just want to show our audience this graphic, which shows where Israel ranks on the scale of UK trade partners. And now the US remains our biggest partner with total trade worth $314.6 billion last year. China is fifth on the list with £98.4 billion worth of total trade. And Israel, by comparison, is 44th on the list of UK trade partners with transactions between the two countries totaling about 5.8 billion. Do you think then by sort of announcing this, I know you welcome it, and, you know, while it feels like perhaps, 18, 19 months in, it still might, the language has shifted, to sort of point to trade deals, do you think that perhaps that is still too little too late?
I think it's all necessary, all welcome, but we have to talk about the timeliness of the steps that are needed. So first of all, we need an immediate ceasefire. We need the aid to get through. We need the bombs to stop. We need the children fed. Then we need to think about suspension of trade. We also need to think about restricted control measures that would allow more pressure to be placed on Israel. We need to think about what those restricted measures are, because any general measures to actually harm the general population, and at the moment, no population is more vulnerable than that one in Gaza. So we cannot just apply general measures. We need to think about what it is that we want to put a pressure on for the Israeli government. That is why I'm talking about the arms sales and the fact that we have to stop all arms sales, let the aid get through. In terms of trade, I think, it's imminent in the immediate future or the immediate future, but it's not going to make a tangible difference right now. What will make a tangible difference is for more aid to get through, lives to be saved, and to think about the next day and what is needed for reconstruction in Gaza.
Halima Begum, thank you so much for joining us here on the programme.
Thank you.
This is The World with me, Yalda Hakim. Lots more coming up on the programme. Donald Trump pushes ahead with his ambitious plan for a Golden Dome missile defence shield. Stay with us for that.
A show of military might and menace. Why should the West trust you?
Frankly, I don't care whether the West trusts us or not.
Sky News. Get the full story first. Have a quick word for Sky News. Is the West right? Are you fueling Russia's war machine? American journalist Evan Gershkovich is on trial here, but was first on display. I'm Ivor Bennett, Sky's Moscow correspondent.
We arrive. A secret hospital hidden in the Myanmar jungle, treating the victims of this bloody war. This is Myanmar today. Its military rulers don't want the world to see, but we have.
I fight for my own future. I fight for my generation's future.
This is an actual crime.
They don't care for that.
Myanmar army is only a couple of kilometers away.
So this is a major humanitarian disaster.
Jubilation in the streets, while some emotional.
This is a political victory for Prime Minister Modi and his Hindu Nationalist Party. I'm Neville Lazarus, and I'm Sky's reporter based in Delhi. Companies like these are helping India in its trajectory to be a serious player in space exploration. Sky News, get the full story first.
Welcome back to the programme. Now, Donald Trump has long said that he'd like a missile defence system similar to Israel's Iron Dome. Tonight, he's pressing ahead with those plans. Along with his Defence Secretary Pete Hegseth, the US President is unveiling plans for his $25 billion Golden Dome. He's been speaking at the White House. Just have a listen.
In the campaign, I promised the American people that I would build a cutting-edge missile defense shield to protect our homeland from the threat of foreign missile attack. And that's what we're doing. Today, I'm pleased to announce that we have officially selected an architecture for this state-of-the-art system that will deploy next-generation technologies across the land, sea, and space, including space-based sensors and interceptors. And Canada has called us, and they want to be a part of it. So we'll be talking to them. They want to have protection also. So, as usual, we help Canada do the best we can. This design for the Golden Dome will integrate with our existing defense capabilities and should be fully operational before the end of my term. So we'll have it done in about 3 years. Once fully constructed, the Golden Dome will be capable of intercepting missiles even if they are launched from other sides of the world and even if they are launched from space. And we will have the best system ever built.
Well, we don't have a huge amount of detail yet about how this Golden Dome will work. Israel's Iron Dome works by detecting incoming rockets using a ground-based radar system. It then fires interceptor missiles if they are heading for highly populated areas. Currently, the US defends its airspace by using systems such as the Patriot system, which is a surface-to-air system. The Patriot systems are based at military bases around the US, including in Oklahoma and Alaska. The Golden Dome system would likely use infrared space-based sensors to detect and track missiles and intercept them using advanced weapon systems. Its big advantage would be being able to detect them much earlier during their boost phase, something which ground-based systems can't do. Let's bring in our US correspondent, James Matthews. And James, Donald Trump looked pretty excited, pretty proud to talk about this, said that it would, come into effect by the end of his term, and very much inspired by Israel's dome system.
That's right, Yalda. And, few would argue that that is not a success in Israel. The Iron Dome, it is, of course, golden. The Donald Trump version. Some surprises in there, I think, talking about a budget far beneath the kind of estimates we have heard so far, estimates of $500 billion and so on. His estimate was far beneath that, and he said it would be fully operational by the end of his term. There were pertinent, pointed questions, I thought, about the necessity for all of this. One journalist said that NORAD, the North American Air Defense Organization, they hadn't pushed for it. And he was asked, well, whose idea is this? Is it the generals or is it you? And Trump said that it had come from him. He went to the generals and said, would you like this? And they heartily agreed. So, the idea has been driven by Donald Trump himself. This Golden Dome, similar to the Iron Dome in Israel, but necessarily different because of the space, apart from anything else, that it will have to protect. The expanse of the United States, far bigger. In Israel, the size of New Jersey, the Iron Dome, it is ground-based. It protects urban areas, populated areas. Of course, the United States is a far bigger landmass, and it will have to protect against bigger missiles launched from further away. So it is going to be anchored in space. And essentially the way it will work is that there'll be a sort of space radar that picks up missiles from far away and is able to take out these missiles at an early stage. So that's the theory. Today, Donald Trump named a program manager. He clearly has a job on his hands. It's a huge budget and a very tight time frame to try to get this in place before Donald Trump leaves office.
James, thanks so much for bringing us up to date there. Now, I just want to take you to what could well be one of the world's most dangerous places, the capital of the Caribbean island of Haiti. It's afternoon in Port-au-Prince. It's an ordinary day. in this city, an ordinary day is one punctuated by long bursts of gunfire. School children, still in their uniforms, run to safety. A lone armoured police van with its tyre blown off. This is what happens when a city is almost completely controlled by gangs. Now, thousands of people have been killed in spiralling violence here, and the areas controlled by armed groups have expanded significantly over 12 months. This was in March 2024, the gang territory marked in red. And this is just a year later, only 10% under government control. The man who oversees a large chunk of the city now is Jimmy Chereze, also known as Barbecue. He claims he's a Robin Hood figure fighting against corruption. Have a listen.
Considérés comme des envahisseurs, et je dis à nous pas pour collaborer avec aucun envahisseur, aucun agresseur qui vient sortir pour passer indépendance pays nous en bas pied.
That was Barbecue, and that was his message to peacekeeping forces last year. Tonight, we go deep inside gang territory to the front line of a violent war and hear from the man who's leading the fight against the gangs.
This one mission for the MSS is a mission possible. This mission, MSS, is the only hope that Haitian population has.
Our chief correspondent Stuart Ramsey spent weeks filming in Haiti. We'll hear from him in a moment, but let's get started with his first report from Port-au-Prince.
Two armoured Haitian police vehicles manoeuvre into gang territory in the capital Port-au-Prince. They're probing gang defences. This is one of the city's main highways, but parts of it are closed, controlled by the gangster Jimmy Chereze, known by everyone here as Barbecue. Children on their way home from school live on the border of Barbecue's territory. And the security forces want to take it back. They've seen gang members at an intersection. Everyone scatters. They know what's coming next. The second police vehicle is hit. The tyre is punctured. They head back down the hill. The firing intensifies. We're in two armoured vehicles.
We're back. Okay, get in.
The police are targets, and we can film them coming under fire. The police reach the intersection. The police are being fired at from multiple positions, and rounds are getting closer to the Sky team.
Let's go. Watch, wait, we're going to get in. Right, get in.
So, obviously we're right on the edge of the gang territory. You can hear, we probably can't hear them now, but there's been firing between the police. There's rounds, live rounds coming at us. At the police, but passing past us. The whole thing is now deserted. There were people walking on the street a minute or two ago. They've gone now. You can see the police cars are manoeuvring.
We reverse as the police car loses its tyre, but continues. Getting out would be suicidal. Driving on its rim, they limp towards another crossroads to get away from the firing. We're told this is just an ordinary day in Port-au-Prince. By most estimates, the gangs control around 90% of Port-au-Prince now. People don't venture into these areas. Cars turn away to avoid snipers inside. The government's forces are trying to find ways to push the gangs back. Police take positions to offer protection. The sound of gunfire here is a constant.
The big white building you see behind me is a bank. That is the demarcation line of where the gang territory that belongs to the gang leader, known as Barbecue, but his name is Jimmy Chereze. Now, we've been to his territory in the past to meet him. The point is, it was miles away from here, miles and miles. So it means they've pushed all the way up here. His gang, like others, are doing this across Port-au-Prince.
Battered police vehicles crisscross the city. The attrition rate in what is a war with the many gangs of Port-au-Prince is high. The security forces need more of everything as they continue the fight. The gang activity means that roughly 10% of Port-au-Prince, still free, is packed with people and traffic. Just a few districts are left. They're completely surrounded. People are being squeezed into the only spaces that haven't fallen. Hundreds of thousands have lost their homes, many finding themselves in heaving makeshift camps. They huddle here for protection, but really there isn't much on offer. Barbara Gashiwi gave birth to her daughter Jenna a month ago, here beneath this plastic sheet. Heavily pregnant, she was forced from her home.
Did they just come in and say everyone out of the house?
Yo juste vini, yo di yo sorti, ki sa yo fè exactement.
They pulled guns on us and told us to leave the house. After that, we ran outside onto the street and took off.
Do you ever think you'll go home?
Est-ce que vous pensez que vous allez retourner la caillou? Non. Non.
Some gang leaders claim they're fighting the authorities, not the people. But in reality, it's the people who are suffering, condemned to live like this in squalor.
This is one of the latest camps that's been built. There's over 10,500 people in here. It's a church ground. They've only been here a month. None of them think they'll go home ever. They've been kicked out of their houses by the gangs.
This is the government's communications ministry. A year ago, we walked in off the street. People were already living here. Now, its forecourt is a camp as well. The government's abandoned this and other ministries, moving to safer ground. Whole communities are now on their own.
We need help in this country. We don't got no sheriff, we don't got nobody to help us. Everybody's suffering out here. Right now, you see what this food does? You gotta have money to buy food. A lot of people don't got no money out here. A lot of people don't got no money out here to buy no food.
The international community has promised to help Haiti combat the gangs, but it's a slow, difficult process, and promised equipment and funding is in short supply. Dismantling the gangs is the aim. Until that happens, conditions for the people will only get worse.
And Stuart joins me here on set. Stuart, welcome back. Really powerful reporting. I remember when you were there around this time last year. Just give us a bit of a comparison in terms of how much has changed. Does it feel like it's more dangerous, less? I mean, obviously it's not less dangerous, but just given the fact that the government has lost more territory, where does that leave things?
That's one of the most striking things for us as a team, because lots of areas we used to go to on a regular basis, while still very dangerous, we can't even get to them now. So the presidential palace in downtown, we couldn't get to it. We used to go there all the time. As I said, it was dangerous, but you could do it. Lots of other areas, a marketplace we used to meet at before going into meeting barbecue, chimichurri, we would gather at a marketplace. That is now empty, you can't go there. And his territory is miles and miles further. And the real sense you get in Port-au-Prince is of people being crammed in. They're completely surrounded. And this isn't the outskirts, this is a centre of town. There's only a handful of districts that you would describe as non-gang territory. People are living in terrible conditions. They're desperate. And when we're talking to them, you could see, for the first time, actually, we received quite a lot of abuse because a lot of people assumed we were from the United States, and the United States, rightly or wrongly, is held responsible for a lot is happening in Haiti. And so that was a change, because we've always got on well with the Haitian people. It wasn't personal, it was just anti-American sentiment. So that really changed. It's definitely not less dangerous. There's been a slight lull in the fighting for a few days. Mainly, we think, because the gangs had actually lost quite a number of men in one particular battle, and it appears that they had been firing, so many bullets over the last few weeks and months that they are waiting for resupplies to come through, which again is something that's a really key issue. They keep getting weapons. Most of them come from the United States. They need to stop that supply, and that's one of the big issues that will determine whether there is peace. But very, very tense indeed.
And Stuart, I remember following your reporting last year, there was talk, and you spoke to us about peacekeeping troops coming in from Kenya, perhaps, and some other places. I guess the question is, what is the international community doing about this situation?
Not enough, I think, is fair to say, but the Kenyans are there, again, not in the sort of numbers that they were mandated by the UN to have. So it's a mission, it's not a peace mission, it's basically a peace-imposing mission, if you like. Now, we were speaking to the force commander of Kenya. He went to the United States to meet the Secretary of State, and he came back, and I saw him the day he got back, and he was really very positive. He said, America has said, when are you going to get this sorted? What are you going to do about it? Can you do it? What do you need? And he said, we need more money, we need more weapons, and we need more men. And he said, well, they're getting very positive reaction from the United States. And I've interviewed him, and this is what he had to say on a number of issues.
We deal with them within the shortest time possible with the equipment, with the personnel that we're going to get, so at least within 3 to 6 months, we'll be talking of a new Haiti. And that is where we are focused on. And the issue is very clear. This one mission for the MSS is a mission possible. This mission, MSS, is the only hope that Haitian population has. And we cannot let them down. And we won't let them down.
Is there a danger that if you whack them hard here, they just go all over the country and the problem gets worse?
That is a very good question, and that's part of the strategy that we've now developed. Because obviously, once you displace the gangs, then they will do what we call displacement of time. As you push them and as the kitchen becomes hot, they look into other territories. Yeah. And that's what we are doing, that at least, what are we focusing on? The focus now is on the quiet and the peaceful departments. We must ensure that at least we beef with specialized units, so that as we deal with them here, if they try to expand their territories in those particular peaceful departments, then they have the same capacity in those departments to deal with them, so that they don't have any other place to expand their territory.
So that was the head of the international police force mandated by the United Nations to curtail gang activity. Now, more than 1,000 personnel have been deployed. That's less than half the initial target. Many are from Kenya, but others are from Jamaica, the Bahamas, Guatemala and El Salvador. The mission is funded by voluntary contributions, including from the US. But though £450 million is needed annually, only about 83 million has been pledged so far. Now, Stuart went on a nighttime patrol deep inside gang territory. Let's have a look.
A night patrol deep into the heart of Haiti's capital, Port-au-Prince. In huge American-supplied armoured vehicles, Kenyan police and soldiers work their way through the streets where gangs haven't taken control. The people watch on. But this soon changes. We pass into gang territory. There is little electricity here, and there's a brooding sense of menace. The gangs are here, but hidden away. In this neighbourhood, motorcyclists are almost certainly gang spotters. The Kenyans ignore them. Using spotlights, they peer into the gloom, looking for gang movement.
Joshua, or we tell the other one to respond.
The first reports of gunfire are radioed in. The gunner in our vehicle prepares for the order to fire.
There's been some gunfire, working out where it's coming from. There's more gunfire now.
The road is crossed there, so they definitely are there.
The convoy switches off all its lights, disappearing into the darkness. They're looking for targets. In sporadic bursts, they fire into the night.
Rounds going down.
It's deafening inside. This is a war with the gangs, and it looks it. The hideouts, people's homes where they fought from, are being destroyed in the fighting. Much of this part of the centre of Port-au-Prince is now reduced to a city of ruins. And this is the heart of the city. Behind whitewashed walls is the country's largest hospital. It's dark now, there's no activity. It's long been abandoned after continuous attacks. The patrol makes its way through narrow roadways. Manoeuvring in these vehicles is difficult and leaves them vulnerable to attack. Cars that were used as barricades being pushed aside by the Kenyans. The night missions here are to keep the gangs out of the populated areas. The areas are often divided by a single pathway the Kenyans have opened.
We want to block the routes that gangs can use to access to where the public are staying. So we block those areas so that they don't come. During the day, we do decisive patrols, very active patrols. Now we go inside where the gangs are. But during the night, we block so that they do not cross over to where the civilians are staying at night.
We passed by a Médecins Sans Frontières hospital, one of two now temporarily shut because of the threats on staff. Outside, displaced people live in their cars. They gather here hoping it's safe. They've lost their homes to the gangs.
While the patrols are really important to try to show that the local communities that there is an external presence here to take on the gangs, the key aim in the coming weeks and months, according to senior commanders, is to set up forward operating bases, FOBs. That's where the mission forces will stay within the community. Now that brings about more trust. That's the plan, at least. But it means that they can hold areas. Some of the criticism in the past has been is that the Kenyans move in with the Haitian police, do a good job, push the gangs out, but then because of the way their mission is set up, they have to withdraw and the Haitians are left to hold, but sometimes they simply don't do it.
Night after night and day after day, this Kenyan-led mission supports the Haitian police as they try to bring order to the capital. Over the past year, they've had successes, but in truth, the gangs remain in control of swathes of the city.
And Stuart joins us again here on set. Stuart, I mean, you ended your report there talking about the gangs controlling swathes of the city. Is it likely to change, though, given some of the noise that Donald Trump is starting to make about them?
Yes, they do control about 90% of the city, which is hard to believe, really, isn't it? And a few weeks ago, many of the people I spoke to who are very experienced saying that they were convinced that the whole of the city would go about 5 or 6 weeks ago. But they have managed to fight back. I think two things are very important. Firstly, this meeting between the force commander and the Secretary of State, where he's offering, well, the Secretary of State is saying they will give extra supplies, they will come through with this money. America is already spending much more than everyone else combined, pretty much. And then the Trump administration designation of these gangs as terrorists, I think, is really quite significant because the force commander, the Kenyans, can now use lethal force instantly if they have any opportunity to kill or capture the leaders of the gangs, which is definitely what they want to do. And secondly, as I mentioned before, so much of the weaponry, and it does come from other parts of the world, but so much is coming from the United States, which is really quite near. Selling to gangs is one thing. Selling to terrorist groups is really quite serious. And the expectation from the Kenyans and the word they've been given by the Americans is that the entire network is going to be targeted, and that's the United States and the network in Port-au-Prince, but also in Haiti as well, and that the Americans are going to be right at the forefront of assisting them with that. So I say Force Commander was really, really happy. He said, I'm a happy Force Commander. But of course, all of the stuff that he needs has still to be delivered. It's been promised, but it hasn't got there yet.
Yeah, so it does feel like just a slight shift in the dial, that this could be a slight game changer. Do you think the gangs have clocked this?
Absolutely, 100% that they know. We know that the leaders of the gangs, it's been made quite clear to them by the Kenyans, they're going to either kill or capture. Very rarely do you see them out anymore. They're not doing many interviews, which is something that Barbecue, for example, would do on a regular basis. He does post some of his social media posts still, but always in rooms where you can't identify where he is. If they do come out, they're usually surrounded by children. And the Kenyans...
As sort of almost human shields.
Absolutely as human shields. And the Kenyans themselves said they have It's no secret. They've got snipers to try to combat that, but they are deeply concerned about collateral damage. They don't want to be known as a force who, to achieve their mission, killed innocent people. They just don't want it. They're very popular there already. People think they could be doing more and better, but they are pretty popular. And as they see themselves as very close to the Haitian people, it's really nice to see. They don't want to start killing people. That means that the gangs themselves, until they can actually get to them on their own, they, as I say, surround themselves with what are human shields, no doubt about it.
I've got about 30, 40 seconds left. Stuart, what do you think is likely to happen next? Could there be this face-off between the gangs and the authorities now with sort of the backing of the Trump administration?
I think there is definitely going to be. It's 50-50 who's going to win this. They need much more support. If the international community and the United States doesn't bring the support that Kenya needs, then the gangs will ultimately win. If they can be attacked and held back and controlled and the leaders taken, then there could be a new Haiti. But it really is 50-50, maybe not even as good as that.
Wow, that's extraordinary to hear, despite the kind of support that they could get now from the Trump administration. Stuart, thank you so much. And we are expecting more reporting from you from Haiti later in the week, so we'll keep an eye on that. Well, that's it for this evening's programme. We'll be again back on the programme at 9 o'clock tomorrow night. The news at 10 is up next. Good night.
Great.
That's great.